Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome everyone to this occasion of Teachers' Day celebration. I wish all my colleagues a happy Teachers' Day. Teachers' Day is celebrated on the birthday of Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who was the first Vice President and second President of India, and also an excellent educator. This is a happy occasion dedicated to all teachers. However, today's function is to celebrate and felicitate some of our distinguished colleagues who have excelled as teachers, and also those who have contributed immensely over their long and distinguished career at IIT Kanpur to help build this institute. Before proceeding with the program, I would like to mention that we are honored and privileged to have Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, Professor of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kanpur, amongst us, as a chief guest to grace this occasion. Now, I take this opportunity to invite Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, our Director, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Deputy Director, Professor S. Ganesh, and Dean of Faculty Affairs, Professor Ramanandu Chandra on the dais. Now I request Professor Abhay Karandikar to welcome Professor Chakravarti with a flower bouquet. We begin this function with the sacred custom of lighting a lamp. Now I would like to request Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Professor S. Ganesh, and Professor Ramanandu Chandra to do light a lamp. Every auspicious occasion in India generally starts with the blessing of Ma Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Now, I would like to request Mrs. Amaravati Viswas and Dr. Devananda Pathak to perform Saraswati Vandana. Let us all rise for the Saraswati Vandana.
चतुर्भुजे चन्द्रकलावतंसे कुचोन्नते कुङ्कुमरागशोणे पुण्ड्रेच्युपाशां कुशपुष्पवाण हस्ते नमस्ते 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 जगदेक माता है।
Thank you, Mrs. Vishwas and Dr. Patel. Now I would like to welcome our Director, Professor Abhay Karandikar, to address on this great occasion.
Professor P.P. Chakravarti, former director of IIT Kanpur and a professor in Computer Science Department in IIT Kanpur, and today's chief guest. All my distinguished colleagues, faculty members, students, and staff. A very happy Teachers' Day. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to express my deepest sense of gratitude to all the teachers who have taught me, right from school and college days and including at IIT Kanpur. As a student at IIT Kanpur, I was privileged to have been mentored by some of the very great teachers who have left a lasting impression on me. As all of you are aware that IIT Kanpur has a strong ethos of academic scholarship, the institute has had several outstanding teachers who have contributed and enhanced the great tradition of dedication towards teaching and mentoring students. Today's occasion is a moment to celebrate some of our colleagues who, with sheer dedication and commitment, continue to contribute towards this long-standing tradition of scholarship and teaching. We will be recognizing several of our colleagues with Distinguished Teachers Awards, Excellence in Teacher Awards. And I would like to congratulate all my faculty colleagues who are receiving this honor today. We have been, as all of you are aware, making efforts to recognize and felicitate our colleagues. Last year, we had instituted, with the support from alumni, a special faculty chair dedicated towards teaching called R.N. Bishwas Faculty Chair uh, in the name of Professor R.N. Bishwas, a very eminent scholar and professor of the electrical engineering department who also taught me while I was a student. This year, we have received another tremendous support from our alumni to institute a faculty chair in the name of Professor T.R. Vishwanathan. It will be called as T.R. Vishwanathan Faculty Chair, again dedicated towards teaching. And I'm indeed grateful to all our alumni who have come forward for instituting this award. Once again, I would like to welcome you all to this function and would like to congratulate all of you on this happy occasion. We are privileged to have today Professor Chakravarti, who himself is an outstanding scholar and teacher in IIT Kanpur. And we are indeed delighted that he will be addressing all of us today. Once again, thank you very much and a warm greetings on this Teachers' Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Karandikar. Now it is my pleasure to invite our distinguished colleagues who have completed 25 years of service at IIT Kanpur. Professor Gautam Dio. Please. Now I request our director to present the shawl, and I request Professor Chakravarti to hand over the certificate and plaque to Professor Dio. Professor Srihari Keshavamurthy, Department of Chemistry. Professor Keshavamurthy could not come for the function as he is out of town today. Professor Manindra Agrawal, Computer Science and Engineering. Professor Agrawal had to leave the campus and therefore could not make it to the program. Next, the last one is Professor Sumit Ganguly, Computer Science and Engineering. He is also out of town today. Congratulations to all of you for reaching this milestone. Now we would like to announce the 1989 Batch Faculty Award of IIT Kanpur. This award is given in recognition of the use of innovative and technology-enhanced content to improve the quality of undergraduate teaching. For the year 2021, the award goes to Professor Rajat Mittal, Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I request Professor Chakravarti to present the plaque and certificate, and Professor Karandikar to hand over the check of rupees 2.5 lakh. Congratulations, Professor Mittal. Now we move on to the Excellence in Teaching Award. It is my pleasure to invite Excellence in Teaching awardees. So I would request all the awardees to come to the dais one by one to receive the award. I also request Professor Chakravarti to present the plaque and Professor Karandikar to present the certificate to each awardee. Professor Sanjay Kumar, Aerospace Engineering. Professor Jonaki Sen, Biological Sciences and Bioengineering. Professor Indranin Shahadalal, Chemical Engineering. Professor Shabuj Kumar Kundu, Chemistry. Professor Anantaraman Ganapati, Department of Chemistry. Professor Mukesh Sharma, Department of Civil Engineering. Professor Shivam Tripathi, Department of Civil Engineering. Professor Shamit Ganguly, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, is not present today. Professor Javed Hussain N. Malik, Department of Earth Science. Professor Wasim Ahmed, Economic Sciences, he is also not present today. Professor Rohit Buddhiraja, Department of Electrical Engineering. Professor Shilpi Gupta, Department of Electrical Engineering. Professor Mini Chandran, Humanities and Social Sciences. Professor Ritviz Bhaumik, Humanities and Social Sciences. Professor Subhash Chandra Mishra, Department of Industrial and Management Engineering. Professor Sudhanshu Shekhar Singh, Material Science and Engineering. Professor Amit Shekhar Kuber, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. Professor G. Shantanam, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. Professor Mohit S. Law, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Professor Sumit Basu, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Professor Aditya Hemchandra Kelkar, Department of Physics. Professor Shaikot Ghosh, Department of Physics. So, our heartiest congratulations to all the awardees. Now we will move on to the Distinguished Teachers Award. Our first Distinguished Teacher Awardee is Professor Gautam Vishwas, Department of Mechanical Engineering. I invite Head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Professor Shamir Khandekar, to introduce Professor Gautam Vishwas.
It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Gautam Biswas, who is presently serving as J.C. Bose National Fellow at the Department of Mechanical Engineering at our institute. He has been my teacher, mentor, collaborator, and a constant source of inspiration and support for all of us. As we all know, Professor Biswas has been the Director of Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, and earlier served as the Director of CSIR, Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute at Durgapur. Professor Biswas completed his baccalaureate from BE College in the year 1979. He completed his master's and PhD from IIT Kanpur in the year 1981 and 1985 respectively. Subsequently, he was a Humboldt Fellow in Germany and JSP as Invited Fellow in Japan. Professor Gautam Biswas is a Fellow of all the three major science academies of India. He is a Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering and Institution of Engineers. He is also a Fellow of the American Society of Mechanical Engineering. He has served a full term as an Associate Editor of ASME Journal of Heat Transfer. Dr. Biswas has several awards and honors to his credit, including, to name a few, the Distinguished Alumnus Award from BE College and IIT Kharagpur respectively, honorary doctorates from 2 institutes, and as we all know, he was chosen as our own institute fellow for the year 2020. Professor Biswas is the author of more than 150 publications in top-tier international journals. He and his research group have contributed to the areas of fundamental fluid mechanics, computational fluid dynamics, boiling heat transfer, especially film boiling, interfacial physics, and transport phenomena. Dr. Biswas continues to serve the Institute with full vigor and dedication. Sir, we immensely value your seminal contributions. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Biswas.
Thank you, Professor Khandekar. Now I invite Professor Biswas and his wife on the dais to receive the award. Mrs. Biswas. Yes. Thank you. Now I invite Professor Biswas to share his experience at IIT Kanpur.
Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, esteemed Director of the Institute, Professor Abhay Karandikar, the Deputy Director, the Deans, and the dignitaries of the Institute, respected faculty colleagues, glorious alumni fraternity of IIT Kanpur, all the distinguished guests and their respective families, the award winners of today's event, respected staff members, and the beloved students of IIT Kanpur. I deem it a great pleasure and honor to receive the Distinguished Teacher Award of IIT Kanpur. Over the past 6 decades of its existence, this institute has distinguished itself as an eminent institution for technological study and high caliber research. In fact, IIT Kanpur has epitomized quality education and cutting-edge research in science, technology, and humanities. Truly, my dear friends, this evening belongs to the teachers, but it also rightfully belongs to another illustrious person among us. I'm sure many of you could guess who I refer to. He is none other than our uh, indefatigable Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, who deserves our deep sense of appreciation for his all-round scholarly activities and creation of National Digital Library of India. I take the privilege to wish all the teachers the very best in their endeavor on this auspicious day. It's indeed a great honor and a privilege for me to be counted among the noted recipients of Distinguished Teachers Award of this hallowed institute. The commitments of IIT system in general and commitments of IIT Kanpur towards excellence in particular are widely known and appreciated throughout the world. Our students have done miracles in numerous areas of knowledge society and knowledge economy. IITians have nurtured knowledge and created new knowledge. They have created opportunities and wealth world over. The contributions of our faculty members and our staff members have always been held with the highest esteem everywhere. I feel deeply indebted to all my students. Their acts of generosity remind me of why I started teaching, which was to make a positive impact in the lives of others. Today, I deeply appreciate the exceptionally kind-heartedness of all the students. I appreciate their recognition whom I have taught. I want to express my gratitude, appreciation, and give my wholehearted thanks to every student of this institute. There were many who were excellent in studies and possessed lovely and friendly personality. Yet, I was a bit more inclined for those who were shy or felt alone. Often, I had very special attachment with those who lived in recluse. All of them are finally wonderful friends in the journey of life. My personal memoirs of IIT Kanpur comprise a record of many and varied sensations. The warmth of friendship, the glow of reconciliation, and joy of success, each one is unique in its own way, and all of them are so precious to my heart. I feel fortunate and blessed to be a member of IIT Kanpur fraternity, IIT Kanpur family. And so I accept this wonderful award in a spirit of the greatest humility and deepest gratification. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Biswas. Our next distinguished teacher awardee is Professor Devashish Kundu, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. I invite the head of the department, Professor Mohua Banerjee, to introduce distinguished teacher awardee, Professor Kundu.
Good evening. It's a matter of great pride and pleasure for me to introduce my colleague, Professor Debashish Kundu, in whom we have a combination of an outstanding researcher, a very respected colleague of this institute, and a beloved teacher and guide. Professor Kundu obtained his B.Stat from the Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, M.Stat from the Indian Statistical Institute, Delhi, MA in Mathematics from the University of Pittsburgh, and PhD in Statistics under the supervision of the renowned Professor C.R. Rao from the Pennsylvania State University. Prior to joining the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, our department, in July 1990, Professor Kundu served as an assistant professor at the University of Texas at Dallas. An outstanding researcher, Professor Kundu has over 340 publications with a citation of over 15,000. In recognition of his outstanding contributions in the field of statistics, Professor Kundu has been bestowed with several awards, amongst them being Fellow of the National Academy of Sciences, India, Fellow of the Royal Statistical Society, London, Distinguished Statistician Award of the Indian Society for Probability in Statistics, USV Chair Professor and Arun Kumar Chair Professor of our own institute. He is also a recipient of C.L. Chandana Mathematics Award from the Canadian World Education Foundation for distinguished and outstanding contribution to mathematics research and teaching. Professor Kundu is the most sought-after PhD supervisor in statistics in our department. He has so far supervised 18 PhD students, which includes students from the Electrical and Engineering Department and IME. He has also supervised several MTech students from the Electrical, Civil, and Chemical Engineering departments. All the students who have graduated under his supervision are now well placed in academics as well as industry. He has also supervised over 60 BS, BSMS, MSc students for their UGP and PGPs, and has a number of journal publications with them. For his outstanding teaching, Professor Kundu has the unique distinction of receiving appreciation letters for every course he has taught at this institute over the past 32 years of his tenure. He's the first recipient of Excellence in Teaching Award 2019 from our department. It is my great pleasure, as I said, to have Professor Debashish Kundu receive this award.
Thank you, Professor Banerjee. Now I invite Professor Kundu and his wife on the dais to receive the award. Now I invite Professor Kundu to say a few words to share his experience at IIT Kanpur.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening everybody. And first of all, I'd like to wish a very happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers present here. And it is indeed a great occasion, and I am really fortunate to take this, to get this award. First of all, I'd like to thank Amit and all my students for nominating me for this award. I'm really thankful for that, and to the institute also for giving this award to me. Today, the Teachers' Day, and I'm really fortunate to have exposed or being introduced by some of the very, very distinguished teachers, and definitely they has tremendous influence in my life. Of course, the first one comes out to my parents. My mother, who is 81 years old, I'm still getting lots of advice from her every day. Another two great teachers I cannot stop mentioning. One of my teachers was my school teacher, school mathematics teacher. He's 88 years old. And I met him this summer. And he's from my own locality. I visited him, and he's still active, mentally, agile. And I asked him, "What are you doing, sir?" He's still teaching. Whom are you teaching? I am teaching two kids. One is in class 4, another is class 5th. Amazing. Lots of things to learn. Another teacher, my PhD advisor, Professor C.R. Rao, and I'm really fortunate to being one of his students. He is 102 years old, still active. Interesting thing is that for the last 10 years, he has 4 papers in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences and 3 books. Amazing. I think these are the inspirations, and I think these are the things all of us should get motivated. And that's what I always try to tell to my students also. Look, these are the people we should look at it and try to get inspiration. Finally, one small advice to all my students. That's what I always tell in the class when I meet them personally. Try to do something which you love most. Have passion. And that's the only thing what you need. And after that, if you are lucky enough, I would say like me, then you'll be in the profession which you like the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kundu. Our next distinguished teacher awardee is Professor A.R. Harish from Department of Electrical Engineering. I invite the acting head of Electrical Engineering Department, Professor Chakravarti, to introduce Professor Harish.
Good afternoon, all of you. It's always a pleasure to talk about our beloved Harish. Professor Harish got a Bachelor of Engineering degree from the University of Mysore, Masters of Engineering from the University of Roorkee, now IIT Roorkee, and a PhD under the supervision of Professor M. Sachidananda from IIT Kanpur. He worked for 5 years in the RF industry in the UK before joining IITK in 2002. And he is currently a professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering and works in the areas of microwaves and antennas. He was also a visiting faculty in the University of Kansas at Lawrence for a short period in 2008. Professor Harish enjoys interacting with students both inside and outside the classroom, interacts a lot with the faculty members as well. He got an opportunity to work closely with the students as the head of the counseling service and Dean of Students Affairs. He served as the head of the Department of Electrical Engineering, and now he is a Dean of Research and Development here. Teaching is his passion, and he believes in conducting live experiments in the classroom to make learning a memorable experience. These ideas are inspired by the research that he carries out, especially for industries. Professor Harish is a recipient of the Gopal Das Bandari Memorial Distinguished Teacher Award and the Excellence in Teaching Award. It is with pride and pleasure that IIT Kanpur confers the Distinguished Teacher Award for the year 2022 on Professor A.R. Harish. So with this, I'd like to invite Professor Harish here.
Thank you, Professor Chakravarti. Now, I would like to invite Professor Harish on the dais to receive the Distinguished Teacher Award. Now I request Professor A.R. Harish to say a few words.
Good evening. Happy Teachers' Day to you all. Teaching stands on 4 pillars: teacher, student, the knowledge, and environment. I am really blessed. Thank you, IIT Kanpur, for providing an environment where I can express my ideas, experiment with my teaching. The best part of it is freedom. When I moved out of the industry into academia, somebody asked, why are you coming out of industry, which is really wonderful? It's a growing industry. But I found that is the freedom. Thank you, IIT Kanpur, for conferring me this award. I really appreciate it. Not finished yet. I have to talk about 3 more pillars. The students. I really thank my students. I can recognize some of them here. With the freedom, as teaching is my passion, I ended up doing a lot of experimentation in the class. Students gave me the feedback through their eyes, most of the time, sometimes orally, very rarely. Especially when the experiments did not go well, they gave the true feedback. By the way, most of the times experiment did not go well. That I know, they didn't know that. Thank you, friends. Please keep that channel open. All of us, on behalf of all my teachers, all my colleagues here, all the teachers here, we are looking forward to that feedback that you share with us. We did not enjoy 2 years of teaching online. The moment we are back on the stage, in the classroom with the chalk and in front of the board, we enjoyed that experience. We got back our inspiration. To students, my friends, you are my inspiration. Thank you very much for that. I thought you were going to clap for yourself. Now you're wondering how long this speech is going to go on. I'm left with 2 more pillars. My teachers, I'm going to attach a little bit more, my parents too. They shaped my life. Thanks to them. I did my schooling from a small school, a government school in a small town, where there were no sophisticated instruments to teach scientific principles. But I had very creative teachers. They spoke to the artisans. In a village you have carpenters, weavers, etc. Made them build models with which they could explain to us principles of physics and geography. I still can't forget that. They took us out into the field, made us feed the plant, and brought us or introduced life into biology, and made us enact famous incidents and experience history. Thank you, sirs. Thank you very much for that great experience I cannot forget. And my journey of learning began on that day. Today, if at all I'm trying to experiment anything in the class, it's all because of my teachers. And my parents and parents-in-law and my teachers did not stop at educating me, giving me formal education, but also ensured that they gave me showed me the importance of honesty, showed me the importance of humility, and showed me the importance of compassion. One instance, I just cannot forget this. I cannot just stop sharing it with you. I was auditing a course during my PhD days. Is it okay if I take a couple of minutes? Thank you. I just cannot. This is so touching. I was auditing a course, sitting in the last bench. That was my favorite place. And I dozed off. Well, I literally slept for the whole class. And towards the end of the class, I woke up. Then the guilt prevailed. I just couldn't stop saying sorry to my teacher, but how can I say it in front of everybody in the class? Waited for the class to end, went out, didn't utter a word. The moment he saw me, he said, "Harish, I know. I thought you were thinking something more important than what I'm teaching in the class, hence did not wake you up." He taught me something, a lesson for my life. Or should I say, I learned a lesson from him on that day. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm not taking the names, but I know my heart is with all my teachers. One of my teachers believed that we can't teach knowledge. Knowledge should be learned. You know, all of us say that if a student does well, oh, I taught him well. If he doesn't do well or she doesn't do well, we say, oh, she didn't learn. It exactly works opposite to the students. Don't you think so? So, my teacher believed that a teacher should be a guide. Teacher should create an environment where the student, like a sponge, should absorb knowledge. Don't try to feed knowledge. That never works. I try to follow that. My students, in case I'm not doing it, apologies from my side. I'll try to improve myself. In order to create this kind of environment, there is a requirement of emotional connect. And that demands a state of mind. And the state of mind comes from a wonderful family. I would like to thank my wife. Sorry, she's not here today to share this joy, but her heart is always here. Now she's actually experiencing this event sitting in Bangalore. Remember when we were kids, if a teacher were to come to the class and shout at us for no good reason, our famous comment was, "Must have had a fight at home." I am lucky to have my wife, Radha, and daughter, Bhavna, who ensured that I never get such a comment from my students. It's an honor to receive this award from IIT Kanpur, which has given me everything. Literally everything. In fact, the honor is multiplied when I receive this award along with Professor Biswas and Professor Kundu. With great humility, I accept this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Harish. Our heartfelt congratulations to our distinguished teacher awardees. Now I invite Professor S. Ganesh, Deputy Director, to introduce our chief guest, Professor Patripatan Chakravarti.
Indeed, it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Professor Patripatan Chakravarti, chief guest of today's function. I don't think Professor Chakravarti needs any introduction to this audience. However, for the benefit of the students who are amongst us, I thought I will just give a brief about his achievements. Professor Chakravarti received his BTech and PhD degree in computer science and engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, in 1985 and 1988, respectively. Soon after his PhD, he joined the faculty of the institute, very same institute, and he has been serving currently as a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. He was the director of IIT Kanpur for 5 years, since July 2013 to July 2019. He has published over 250 research papers and successfully completed several major research projects. His research areas include AI, CAD in VLSI, embedded systems, algorithm design, reliable and fault-tolerant systems, among the others that he has been working on. Professor Chakravarti was conferred with several honors. To just list a few, this includes the President of India Gold Medal, the Swarna Jayanti Fellowship, the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, for his academic achievements and research accomplishment. He's a member of ACM and a senior member of IEEE. He's also elected fellow of all the major science academies and engineering academies in the country. And with this very brief introduction, I request Professor Chakravarti to address the gathering. Thank you.
Professor Abhay Karandikar, Professor Ganesh, Professor Chandra, distinguished award winners, members of the faculty, students, and staff. Professor Ganesh just mentioned that I completed my PhD in 1988 and joined the faculty of IIT Kharagpur. In between that, there is a small story. The story is that in 1988, Professor Rajiv Sangal sent me a letter inviting me to appear for faculty interview at IIT Kanpur. I came here along with my friend and colleague, Professor P.P. Das, who is also now my colleague at IIT Kharagpur. We landed. I reached the guest house. Professor Sangal, who was the head of the department, welcomed me. And as soon as we entered, during that time there was a telegram, there was a phone call to the office of the director that P.P. Das's father had expired. So we decided to go back. And Professor Sangal said, we will make all arrangements for him to go back, but you stay and give the interview. Everything else is decided. But I decided to stay back, go back with him. And after I went back, before the next interview cycle of IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur gave me the offer. Today is Teachers' Day. We celebrate it in the name of Professor Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. There are legendary stories. All these legendary, inspiring stories are 99% false because they are colored over time. And one of the stories of Professor Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, which one of the distinguished awardees mentioned about the ethos of a teacher, is like this. Once, he was the Indian ambassador to the Soviet Union. So, and Stalin was the head of state. So during one meeting, he observed after some time Stalin was walking, Stalin was a bit little feeling. So Radhakrishnan put his hand around Stalin's shoulders and said, "Don't scold people like this." Stalin started crying. He said, "Nobody ever in my life has talked to me like this. This is a teacher." We in the other thing that I saw today, I thought that I am intricately connected only to IIT Kanpur. But when I saw just the award winners, forget about the other people in the audience. I have batchmate, I have my senior, I have a student among the award winners today. I have a student who attended my class and he reminded me when he went past me. I have a teacher's son. And I have so many of them who came just to receive this award. So we are a very closed, very well-knit community. My linkages with academic linkages with IIT Kanpur are not many, but two of them I cherish a lot. One of them is that during that time when there was millions of court cases in the joint entrance exam and I was taking over as the director and the chairman of JAB. So during that time, just as it was going, so there were cases about these joint seat allocation algorithm, the JOSA algorithm that is there. And when I figured out what that algorithm will be, so we developed a team. And among the team, obviously, computer science, you need algorithms, you need IIT Kanpur. So I requested the director, and Surinder Baswana and his two students joined, along with IIT Bombay, Sharat and others. And that, over a period of a month, we developed the JOSA algorithm with all the intricacies and against huge opposition because people in the IIT system said you are destroying the IIT system. But we stuck on, later on proved that it was much, much better than all the previous methods. But the most interesting part was when Surinder's two students, as you can expect, IIT Kanpur BTech CS, implemented the algorithm and we transferred it. That algorithm for the whole of joint seat allocation ran in 8 minutes. All their previous algorithms used to run over days. And it was suboptimal. This was optimal, proved to be optimal. So we gave it to them and said, now you run it. The head of NIC came and told me, sir, algorithm समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Result ठीक है, लेकिन algorithm समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, हम इसको implement नहीं कर सकेंगे. So we had to develop a slower, easier to understand algorithm for them to implement. And then we had these JOSA meetings. Professor Shalab knows that how to handle government, how to handle administration, and how to handle your home. But those are all consultancy activities which I do with 30% overhead and service tax, not to be given free. As many of the very distinguished members have mentioned, we in the IIT system are not in the business of service. We are not offering education as a service. To us, education is product making. We are making products. As somebody said, we are shaping the students. A word was used, shaping. But the most interesting part of that product making, which I have analyzed over the last 5-6 years, and these analyses come at very nice times. These analyses come in Senate meetings when discussions are going on, very important, very animated, but you know it will not end. So you think about all these peculiar things. And this shaping is very interesting. This shaping is not that you are shaping students. The way you shape students, the chisel also has the other edge. You shape yourself. So it is not that we are in the business of making products as students and others. We are also in the business of making ourselves as products to make better products. Whereas everywhere else, you see education in this country, it's almost become education as a service. But still, the IIT system, education is product making. And that, I think, is very, very critical to what we do. Now, if we look at the journey of a faculty in the IIT system, during these discussions in the Senate and all that, I formed these 5-6 stage of a faculty in the IIT system. The first stage I call the stage of utter confusion. Where have I come? What am I supposed to do? How will I fill my TA bill? Yeah, I went once to IIT Delhi by air. They said, come by air. When I looked at the TA bill, it was written, railroad camel. So I told them what to do. They said, cut everything and write air. And this is the state of every faculty who joins the IIT system. First few years, 4 years minimum, you are in a state of confusion. If I am to ask for leave, what should I do? What is the sure shot way to get promotion? Everybody will tell you something, but whenever you go to fill up a form, you will see what information you want to give and what the form asks are different. And this goes for minimum 4 years. And your confusion reduces, but never gets over. And it will never get over till you retire. Then comes the 14 years of state of frustration. During these first 4 years of confusion, you have now managed to understand how to set up your project, got your first PhD student, which is your second PhD actually, na? Many first PhD student is your second PhD, third PhD, fourth PhD, and so on and so forth. Then comes state of frustration. Whatever new thing you try to do, they will tell you it cannot be done. Rules में नहीं होता. वो सब जाओ MIT में करो. They will tell you everything. But that is what you want to do. Because why you have come here like he said, that you have come here from an industry where if your income was X, then your salary, if your salary there was X, then the salary Y as a faculty member is the income tax you were paying then. That is your salary now, so you don't care actually. You're going to get it done. So you start dribbling in the system. And you learn one golden rule in this system. The golden rule that you learn in the IIT system, and it is a like Newton's laws, it is a law. The law is, if you want to do something good, don't ask for permission. It is easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission. This is the time when you are shaping yourself. You are breaking the glass ceiling. Everybody will tell you, desh ka kaam karo, go to the village, etc., etc. But the real people who are in the system will say no. Publish in Nature, publish in Science, do academically top. After some time, your brain will not work. So, this is the time when you are struggling, you are changing yourself, you are changing the system, you are building your labs, you are doing some of the best work of your life. And you're always frustrated. You're always frustrated. But your frustration is like the frustration at home. You know what is the frustration at home? The frustration at home is that your better half will always complain about you. Always. Ye nahi karta, wo nahi karta, this is not done, that is not done. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. But if somebody else says that your husband doesn't do that, that person will get beaten up. So your frustration is like this. You will complain about your institute, kuch nahi hota. Bahar koi kuch bola about IIT Kanpur, he is going to get bashed up by you. This is a very, very fruitful time. This is the time you set up your lab, quote unquote. This is the time you're ensconced in research. You're set. I have calculated if you spend in an older IIT, if you cross 7 years, then either you love it so much that you don't go away, or you're so bad that nobody else will take you. And you can find out what is that optimal figure in IIT Kanpur. Kharagpur, it is 7 years. So, after having crossed this state of frustration, your lab is set, everything is good, you have more or less, your confusion is cleared, you have now understood the system. You know that in order to do this, what permission I need to take? It is not the same. If you want to do X, the permission that you require is you should take is Y. And by this time you have figured out. Isn't it true or not? Exactly, you have figured out what permission you need to take. Okay. So now you are set and you have reached the third stage. This is the stage which even Professor Abhay Karandikar explained to me today. It is the state of Jnani. In your subject, you have become Jnani. And you have started thinking that you are Jnani in other subjects also. No, all of us go through this. All of us go through this. But this is your prime. And Professor Karandikar gave me a statement today that was written in his hostel in IIT Kanpur that यहाँ कोई ज्ञान न दे, यहाँ सब कोई ज्ञानी है. You know what is that place called? That place is called Institute Senate. And now you become a Jnani, and this is when you start deciding that interdisciplinary research is important. And you build lab which brings in more than one person together from different disciplines. And wherever there has been a success in doing that, that has made a breakthrough. And people tend to then really start, first you think you know everything, then you realize you don't know everything. And then you bring people together. Why you bring people together? You bring younger people together because you realize that you have become Jnani and your brain is dying. And the people who will do the work are in the state of confusion and frustration. So you try to bring them together, give them freedom, protect them against the so-called institute. So institute will give some rule, you tell, chodo yaar, you go and do, we'll figure out what to do. Because by that time you have gained an importance, you have got some prizes, you have become professor, lot of garlands, Swarna Jayanti Fellowship, Santi Farouk, this, that, these are all like your armor. कोई कुछ बोल नहीं सकेगा क्या हुआ what he knows you don't care भटनगर अवार्ड ही मिला है so you use your armor to tell the director ठीक है करने दो ना मैं तो देख रहा हूँ and that is when you really start building. You see the history of some of the world-class interdisciplinary centers. Exactly this is the way it is developed. After this, you become a Brahmagyani. What are the signages of Brahmagyani? See, I have crossed all these stages. Signages of Brahmagyani is that you have now started becoming co-supervisor. And the other co-supervisor is either in confusion or frustration state. Never Jnani. You will see that your other co-supervisor is not a Brahmagyani. They are all confusion, frustration. And the student will not come to you always. The student will come to you for two reasons. Either that supervisor has created trouble, or by this time, since you have become a Brahmagyani, you are able to see the subject from more than one angle that is written in a textbook. You are able to see the subject in many, many ways. And at that point in time, you gain insight. And you are really able to provide insight. That is the beauty of having reached this stage. Like one of the awardees mentioned, it is the students who do hard work. They look at everything, they come and tell you the truth. The senior teachers try to interpret it. But when you are in real trouble, then you go to a real Brahmagyani. That person will tell you exactly where the problem is. This person can see the problem, and it affects your teaching. And it affects your teaching. You can teach without anything. When you teach, when a Brahmagyani teaches, the students are able to visualize. They don't need math. They don't need equations. And this, if somebody asks you something, they create examples of their own, out of thin air, out of real life situations. This is when you have reached this stage. Then you become dean, professor in charge, deputy director, not head of the department. Head of the department is a tough job. Head of the department is a tough job. Every day students, this one. But you become any of these. Then you define yourself that I am the institute. I will explain to Shalab what is statistics. I will tell him statistics aisa hai. I will explain electrical engineering to somebody. I will explain fluid dynamics to Gautam Da. And you start explaining other people's subjects to them. You start telling your institute electrical civil engineer rod वहाँ 3-4 और लगा दो. Without thinking. One of my senior directors, eminent, very eminent, he had all these armor, Shanti Swarup, this, that. So I told him, sir, कैसे चल रहा है? As a young faculty member, but I told him, sir, कैसे चल रहा है? He said, सब कुछ हो रहा है तो मैं दूसरा subject तो जानता नहीं था. हम सोच रहा हूँ जानता. I've forgotten my own subject now. So during the years that you are I am the institute, state of authority. You have signing authority, permitting authority, financial authority. Why did you go by premium economy, not economy? Why are you asking all these things? But you will ask. And though you thoroughly enjoy all that, you will say, Kitna, I'm totally frustrated with that work. Everywhere you will go and say that. So this goes on, and this can go on interminably. But once it completes, then you are in your last stage, my stage. It is called stage of hallucination. In my time, institute used to be like that. When Professor Kelkar was there, do you know what happened at that time? So that goes on. And then, if you are some weapon armor farmer hai, so then you will be called for leadership talks. So this is the time when I decided, and I think it is good to decide, to become Lota Kambal. What is Lota Kambal? Lota Kambal is go back. You have nothing to lose, nothing to gain. Naukri to nahi chala jayega unless you do financial and you do molesting. Naukri nahi jayega. So this is the time, real time, to become Lota Kambal. What is Lota Kambal? Go back to teaching and research. Become an assistant professor. Getting bored. So become an assistant professor. So start teaching new courses. Think what is a new course that should be developed for the future of the institute. Start doing research, reading papers in newer areas. And I assure you, from my personal experience in the last 3 years, that this is very, very fulfilling. Only one thing you don't bother. Don't bother that you started something in your state of authority. The new person who has become, I am the institute in some dean, deputy director, is destroying it. You destroyed somebody else's. You are destroying yours. Forget about it. Forget about it. Because please remember, the people who have mapped you in and out are the students. They know exactly how you will react to what they say. If you try it, they will predict your question paper. They will be 80% right. And if you do something else, they will come and shout at you. One student failed, he came for supplementary. I gave him the question paper, he gave it back to me. I said, "Kya hua?" He said, "No, this is not supposed to come." Because I had given the answer paper back again. So he said, "आप दूसरा question दो, जो question करना है वैसे करके बनाओ." The students are, mind you, the most intelligent people on the campus, the most hardworking people, and they know the world as it is going now. And they know exactly, if you can find out what state you are in, they will tell you. So during this whole process, we shape ourselves while we shape everybody else. The institute, as the 4 pillars and other things that were mentioned, is a very dynamic entity. At the end of this, during this journey, a part of the institute becomes part of you, which is fine, everybody understands. But I have analyzed very well that the part of you becomes part of the institute. A little bit of you remains in the institute for a long, long time in many, many ways. What is needed, the IITs have really charted the foundation of education, and it is primarily due to these teachers, students, staff, that they have created this very unique environment, which is rightly called one of the best outcomes of free India. It has produced some of the best people. But what it still needs to do is become part of life of every Indian citizen. Somehow. That is why, as Gautamda mentioned, one of my motivations for starting the National Digital Library of India, in a state of pure Brahmagyani, I am the institute structure of mine, was to make sure that every student knows about the IITs. And the advantage of doing all this, at the end of the day, without forsaking our core competence of advancing knowledge, without forsaking our core activity of shaping the future lives of future students, may I request that IIT Kanpur and at least the 5 older IITs come together, and I will request Abhay to take the lead in all these things, is to drive something that is part of every Indian, so that they can see an IIT in their life. That, I think, would be the next goal for a teacher. I am deeply honored to be here at IIT Kanpur. I was telling Professor Chandra that since I am now in that state of hallucination and assistant professor, I deny all invitations which intrude on my class, but I made this exception because this was an honor I could not refuse. I did not want to refuse. I really wanted to come and sit here. Thank you very much. And I wish all the awardees the very best. I wish IIT Kanpur the very best. And I wish everybody a happy Teachers' Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chakravarti, for your nice and interesting talk. We have a small memento for Professor Chakravarti. I would request Professor Amananda Chandra to hand over that memento to Professor Chakravarti. Now it is time to give a vote of thanks. It is my pleasure to extend a vote of thanks to all those who helped us directly or indirectly to make this event a success. I like to thank the Media Technology Center, Office of Dean of Academic Affairs, Office of Dean of Faculty Affairs, the Directorate, and all those whose names I might have missed. I also like to thank Mrs. Amaravati Biswas and Dr. Dhananda Pathak. At the end, I thank you all for attending this ceremony. We will conclude this program with National Anthem presented by Mrs. Biswas.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you all.